फाइनेंस।
नमस्कार, क्रिप्टो कॉर्नर में आपका स्वागत है और आज हमारे साथ जुड़ रही हैं बाइनेंस हेड ऑफ वीआईपी एंड इंस्टीट्यूशन की कैथरीन चेन। कैथरीन, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग इन। आपसे ये जानना चाहेंगे कि जिस तरह से हमने इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स को देखा है जो पहले मार्केट में बहुत स्केप्टिकल थे, लेकिन अब हमने उनको यहाँ पर मैच्योर होते हुए देखा है। इंस्टीट्यूशनल अडॉप्शन ग्लोबली यहाँ पर काफ़ी हद तक गेन होती हुई नजर आई है। आप कैसे देखती हैं इसको?
Thank you very much for having me. So the crypto market continues to grow. A few years ago versus right now, you can very clearly see that the market is continuing to evolve with much better clarity and much clearer structure. Many years ago, a lot of people see crypto as a speculative asset. However, right now, again, the build out of market structure and a much clearer regulatory framework is definitely helping and giving the institutional investor the much needed confidence boost for them to seriously look at this asset class and this industry. The introduction of crypto ETF, in particular the Bitcoin ETF in 2024, of course, helped and accelerated this particular trend. And then the latest, the US administration and the introduction of much more, much clearer regulatory framework all help and accelerated that. And that's, what we have seen. In the seat of, Binance VIP Institutional, what we have seen in the past few years is crypto is obviously also slowly transitioning from an asset class that was driven out of grassroots movement, whereby it is primarily retail adoption, towards, again, you are seeing much more meaningful institutional adoption and participation, right? As I mentioned earlier, regulatory framework and the clarity around regulation is obviously very key for many institutional investors to even, take the first step into the asset class, right? And so thankfully that has happened. And as a result of that, we are seeing the industry slowly maturing, and we are seeing much more diverse and much more traditional finance institutional investor slowly coming in from different aspects. Some might be for their own investment asset allocation. Some might be acting as a institutional intermediary that serve their end user, who all wanted to essentially participate in the asset class. In Binance, we are also seeing institutional users adoption continue to grow. The trading volume, obviously Binance is an exchange. Trading volume is one of the very important thing that we look at when it comes to institutionals' activity level. Year on year, this number has grown by 21%.
I get your point, Catherine, when you say that the global numbers have gone up quite strongly. But when it comes to India, and we are number one in sense of adoption, it's largely retail driven. We haven't done much in institutions. What would you say needs to happen for family offices, asset managers, corporate treasuries to start trading crypto?
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. Indian retail market is absolutely the adoption is definitely amongst rank amongst the top around the globe. I would say though, a very balanced framework really needs to address a few things in order to make sure that much more meaningful adoption, and this is especially relevant for institutional adoption, needs to happen. First and foremost is probably a more friendly tax framework, whereby it really look at much more of the realized capital gain and have the loss offset to ensure that the tax system is more sustainable and really makes sense for people to still make meaningful participation. Generally speaking, across the globe, this is one thing that we have seen with much clearer regulatory framework. Obviously, it's always good. However, it is also very important that the framework strike a balance such that it continue to encourage a variety and a range of activity across trading, across investing, and also, generally speaking, a clearer local regulatory framework that clearly lay out the licensing requirement, the AML reporting requirement, all these standards, if they are clearly set out, then it allows much more clarity for both, not just the crypto native providers such as ourselves, right? It would then finally allow the local market participant, crypto native or TradFi alike, to seriously consider an effort into essentially expanding into the asset class. If a regulatory framework is unfortunately not very friendly, or unfortunately, place a huge burden when it comes to tax duty on the institutional investor, then in the end, for many people, it is just a return on investment of their time, right, and effort into expanding into an asset class. So those are the few points that I feel very much important, right? I understand that the current framework, including the transaction level TDS, and also the limited.
I get that summary, Catherine, but looking ahead in 12 to 24 months, how do you see institutional crypto going? What is it that the retail institution should be watching out for in sense of signals in the market?
So number one, crypto as an asset class is maturing. Crypto exchanges such as ourselves, similarly, we are also going through this convergence phase. Most recently, obviously, Binance introduced a range of TradFi instrument, and very, very quickly, we are seeing the like of gold and silver that is available as a trading instrument under perpetual futures, very, very rapidly growing. Right? And so from my seat, I definitely see that the convergence will continue to happen. Crypto as an asset class come into cycles. Right now, we happen to be going through a cycle whereby traditional equities are going through extremely strong momentum. And as a very fast moving platform, we are obviously also very quick, thanks to the global license that we have, in essentially delivering much more offering to our users. What I would say is we are definitely going to see much more use case that really bring traditional instrument and crypto together.
Absolutely, right? Together. Catherine, that point is very, very well taken, as you said, because a lot of traditional asset classes like gold and silver and equity and bond is something that we are seeing on-chain as well. And as you said, Binance clearly seems to be working very strongly on that. Well, ये बात है Binance के साथ, जहाँ पे वो कह रहे हैं कि बहुत बड़े प्लान्स हैं इनके इंडिया के लिए, रिटेल के लिए, इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए, फैमिली हाउसेस के लिए, काफ़ी सारे क्रिप्टो प्रोडक्ट्स वो इंडियन मार्केट्स में लेकर ज़रूर आने वाले हैं। इसी के साथ फिलहाल इस कार्यक्रम में इतना ही समय है, हम रुकेंगे एक ब्रेक के लिए।
CNBC आवाज प्रस्तुत करता है क्रिप्टो कॉर्नर, पावर्ड बाय बाइनेंस।